The Arizona Coyotes dropped back-to-back games in regulation by 1 goal. Let's discuss.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I am your host, Robyn Leonio, alongside Matthew Jacobson. I want to thank everyone for making this show your first listen every day. We're free and available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube, the Sirius XM radio app, and ad-free on Amazon Music. We got a great show for on today's episode. We're going to break down what went wrong for the Coyotes in the last couple of days and see maybe can they pick it up as they get ready to close out their road trip, can come home, and then come out home come the weekend. But let's start off, Matthew, I guess, with the Rangers game because that was the first game that happened on Monday. That was a 2-1 loss, right? So we had another very low scoring game.
Yeah, they kind of been the exact opposite of what we expected going into it. And what really frustrates me about the Rangers game is for the entire first period, it felt like, before the Chris Kreider goal, the Coyotes just gave up all these tiny little opportunities that if the Rangers had capitalized, it was just pucks that barely jumped over the tape, pucks that were going near the feet of guys. If it actually, those passes that connected, it's 2-0 early before that Chris Kreider goal ever goes in. And the Coyotes, well, defensively sound enough, it's just these tiny little errors that were adding up and they were going to get burned. And then with the Chris Kreider goal, it's Clayton Keller's in the offensive zone and tries to go for this stupid little cute pass. And yes, I'm going to pick on Keller a little bit right now because he has been particularly frustrating me over the last couple of games. I shouldn't need to say this. That doesn't mean he sucks. It doesn't mean he should be traded or just quit or something. But he does need some criticism here. Turns the puck over, goes back the other way. It's a 2-on-1 with Zibanejad and Kreider, and it's just Hayton back to play defense. And that it kind of felt from that moment they weren't coming back. Yeah, on the power play, 5 minutes in on the second period, Clayton Keller gets the goal back, so obviously it makes it easier in that game to forgive it. But the team, they're 1 for 5 on the power play. It's tied up. You get a 5-on-3. They can't capitalize. And then Trocheck gets his goal that we thought went off of Stetcher, but it really didn't anyway. And they lose 2-1, and it came down to a lot of really stupid, wannabe showboaty kind of passes. It reminded me of the Talkit era, and I hate thinking about that era because it was just overthinking and getting too cute, and that's what they did in these two games.
You're right. It is what they did. It's also what they did against the Islanders too. But it's just seeing them do this and just try to do that. It's just like, all right, look, let's remember what kind of team you are. Yes, we've been praising you for improving the talent by quite a substantial amount over the last couple of years. Like, this team is a lot better of a team than the first year of the rebuild was. That said, we know this team still isn't all there. This team is supposed to be a competitive one if they have their their heads screwed on straight. But if you're the kind of team that just tries to play too freaking cute, it's not gonna work. These better teams are just not gonna let that run by you.
It's you said it, and we've been saying it all offseason. We've been praising them for the talent they've added. But when you aren't playing your game, when you're trying to play like you're Toronto, like you're whatever highly skill-based team, just to be frank, you're gonna look like fools, and that's what they've looked like. And I know I tend to get more negative when I actually want more competitive hockey, and it has been more competitive because they're both 1-goal losses. All right, there are 1-goal losses in a season that I did not predict them to make the playoffs, but it's more frustrating because the things that they're doing wrong right now are things that they weren't doing wrong last year with less talent. And I don't know if it's because they're getting a little too big for their britches, if that's how the saying goes. I don't know if they're just getting cocky and arrogant. I don't know if it is just the start of the season. They're trying to figure out where everyone fits, which would make some sense, but also kind of not because it's mostly the same team. I don't know if it's just some bad bounces. I don't know what specifically it is, but the hockey I've watched in the last two games has been sloppy. It has been a team pretending they are better or fancier or farther along than they are, making all these tiny little mistakes. And it brings me back to an era when this team should have been better and frankly kind of sucked. And the brand of hockey was better when they were a basement dweller.
And then maybe it also is because of the better expectation that all these mistakes that not necessarily we're used to seeing, but all these mistakes that are happening, we're just like, what are you doing? Why? I mean, maybe that's why. And again, like I said, we even tempered our expectations as best we could. But I think despite all that, we were just so hyped up on Logan Cooley coming and seeing what kind of impact Zucker and Kerfer and everyone would kind of bring in. And game one, we are like, ooh, this is the kind of team that we might be able to see. I like this. Can we see more of this? Was minus the penalties. But it ended. That's apparently the thing that we have to remember is that this team is one of the youngest teams in the National Hockey League, and they're still going to make mistakes.
Well, yeah, of course they're still going to make mistakes. They're not ready for like playoffs yet. They're not ready for that. I think what's frustrating me the most is the things they were doing right before the goaltending. First off, just a side note that these last couple of games, both Veggie and Ingram, phenomenal. Phenomenal performances both nights. Full
Definitely.
credit there. And the defense, minus the rebound control, leaving some to be desired, the defense is playing fine. It's not great. It's not terrible. Kind of right in there. But seeing what this team did with less, I am just frustrated that the aspect of the game that I was so excited for, being that power play, being the offense, is what's getting choked up the most. And it is frustrating because they could have won both of these games. They 100% could have. And while, yes, it's unreasonable to pretend they should have won all three and they should be 3-0, we should be celebrating, it just kind of, to me, should show how much better this team should be, that I actually have those expectations for them. And I kind of have to recenter myself a little bit and be like, you know what? They are as advertised, just not the way that we thought, because they're all 1-goal games. All 3 games have been decided by 1 goal. Yeah. I just figured, it's better than losing 5-2. It is. It is better than that. It's just more frustrating because this team could get that win. They are right there in these games. And I think it's going to take a bit of an adjustment period, as well as for the team to get consistent with everyone's new roles and figure everything out. But I did not expect this brand of Coyotes hockey to be this frustrating. I was expecting more fun, and so far 2/3 have been more frustrating than fun.
I will say, let's remember that that the New York area teams are better than the other half.
Teams.
Yeah, they're playoff teams. They're playoff teams. So you have to remember where your expectations are in those games. When the Ducks come to town for this weekend, in home opener. That's going to be a whole different kind of game.
Yep.
But we'll get to that later this week. In fact, we're going to continue breaking down the back-to-back against New York. We're going to talk about, what we thought went wrong, mainly against the Islanders. We'll get to that in just a sec. But first, we're going to take a quick word.
Let's hear from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit available only to U.S. customers.
And today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. I'm sick and tired, you guys, of trying to find tickets and having to go through so many hoops of having either terrible pricing, not knowing what the what it is, being surprised by crazy fees, not being able to know if my ticket might be an obstructed view or just a bad viewpoint of a game. A lot of different problems, a lot of different headaches that go into buying tickets to events. Game Time fixes all of that with last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, all-in pricing, views from their seats on when you try to buy their tickets. It includes everything you need to know when it comes to buying tickets. That's all in one app. I absolutely love this app. It has become the only place that I go to when I want to buy tickets for another hockey game or any other sporting event that I want to go to. I want you guys to love it too. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right, can we start off segment 2 with a little positivity? I feel like we should give the devil his due on this one, because as much frustration as I'm feeling right now, it also does need to be complimented. We already talked about the goaltending. We're not going to talk about it again, but mentioning goaltending, the fact that this team they competed all 3 of these games against playoff teams, and every single one was decided by 1 goal. 100%. Despite the frustrations, despite the things that they did not capitalize on early in the season, Coach Andre Tournier's comments after the game, I think it was him, and I don't remember if it was Zucker or Kerfoot, but they were talking about how they understand kind of what the problem was. They're getting too cute on the power play. It's a good sign, and it's the growing pains they're going to need, but it is still a massive step forward. They're on a road trip, a tough season-starting road trip throughout the New York teams, all going to be playoff teams or in the hunt for those playoffs, including 2 teams, one that's win now, one that is a cup favorite, and they were all decided by 1 goal. We do need to take at least a couple of seconds to acknowledge that and give some praise, because that is so different from last year.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Those games, and I think, and I know, my former co-host Carl Pavlik can speak to it. Those games where they end up losing 5-1 or 5-0, they were some of the most frustrating games we've ever had to cover. We've had to go through so much crap. I think even one of the games I went to, I think it was against the Stars. It ended up going 4-0 or something like that, 4 or 5-0, and then it just felt debilitating. It just felt demoralizing, and I feel like you're right. so far, these first 3 games, of course, the first was a win, so that felt great. And even these 2, having it only decided by 1 goal is a good sign. Yeah, sure. There's a lot of issues we can, break down out of this. A lot of problems, again, that we tie to youth and a lot of other inexperience and just simple mistakes that shouldn't be made. But it's already a step up from the previous years.
Yep, and as Carl, now that you mentioned him, great segue. I don't know if you knew this, if you did it on purpose or not. As Carl mentioned today on Twitter, can we go back to getting the backup goalies? Because they've also had to go back-to-back games against some of the best goalies in the Eastern Conference. All right, Igor is frankly better, and even with, like I mentioned on a previous episode, him having a bit of a down year by his standards last year, he's still a great goaltender. Ilya Sorokin tonight, really good performance. He's a great goaltender, and while it's frustrating to be on getting shut out or only being able to pop one, you're still keeping it close against some of the best goaltending talent. And that is also something that I do think needs a little bit of praise and a little bit of consideration, because while I can sit here and be angry at that power play, and I am angry at that power play because I want to slap everyone on that power play, we still have to give some credit where it's due, because we couldn't talk like this last year. We couldn't talk about, oh, yeah, they're only 1 goal out. Oh, yeah, 1 bounce goes their way. We're going to overtime.
Yeah, no, it's definitely very different. And like you said, yeah, let's go back to those backups because Sturkin and Sorokin are different levels than who the Coyotes have had to play against in the past, and it really shows that they're starting to take the team a little more seriously.
Mm-hmm. And with that comes more challenge.
Mm-hmm. But let's get to the frustrating bit of the game against the Islanders, Matthew, because let's put it this way. Let's say it's only 7 shots on goal in the first half of a game. 7 shots on goal in the first half of a game. Like,
let me do you one better. It's 6 total in 2/3. The first 2 periods were 6 total shots. And I know Craig made the joke, I think whoever's keeping track of the shots is out making popcorn. And while it was funny, my only response, and Craig, in case you're not watching, but just in case you are, this is not like an actual comment against you. My only reaction was, no, they're not, Craig. The Coyotes just aren't getting shots on goal because they keep turning the puck over. Because, again, I have to pick on Keller a little bit right now. I have to pick on him because Keller keeps doing these stupid drop passes and these, like, no-look passes. They look phenomenal against the Devils when they connect and they lead to a goal. When they lead to the puck going the other way, it's not as fun. Whenever he's not looking and he throws it into Barrett Hayton's skates, yes, Hayton should have paid a little more attention, but when it's such a small, narrow window of time, that's a miscommunication. That also has to go on the puck carrier as well.
And then like even if he's lucky enough to connect, Hayton still is feeling a little bit off balance, and he has to send it back, and then all this, and then like, who is it? Like, it's like Valimaki or Dursey back there. Any other defenseman ends up having to pick up the pieces. Sometimes they're all caught off guard, and it just goes back to the neutral zone at the freaking reset.
I never think about the perspective of play calling in hockey, because to me, like, it just doesn't compute, because, hey, you kind of run a couple little cycles, you stay in the quarter of where you're supposed to be as a defenseman or up top until they pinch to save the puck. Your wingers are on either side, and your center kind of hovers around a little bit. That makes the most sense, like, in terms of simplicity. So I never think about play calling. I think the play calling has either been awful, or they are not grasping the drills. They're not grasping what they're practicing, because it looks like, for example, on that pass in the first period that I was talking about earlier with Clayton Keller, he gets the puck from, I think Barrett Hayton gave it to him, and Keller immediately, without looking, put it right back over to Hayton. In his skates, ends up going back the other way because Hayton wasn't ready for it. It feels like either no one knows what the play is, or we don't need a playbook. and I can't decide which I think it is right now.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe there's like, just crash. Just crash.
Just crash. And like to an extent, right now, over these last 2 games, Clayton Keller should not have the puck unless it is time to shoot. Because whenever like he's had the puck and you pass it to him, you got like literally 2 seconds. 2 to 3 seconds max before that puck is back off of his stick and going somewhere else. Usually to someone that's not ready for it.
I mean, let's go back to I think it was Keller's goal in the Rangers game, right? It like legit, it was a slapper because it was the perfect time. Like it was a one timer. Like Keller's great for that, but when it comes to whatever he's been trying to do. Otherwise, it's just like, my dude, like, what are you doing?
He's also a good passer when he's not trying to be on Sports Center. That's the only thing that comes to mind is, he wants to be on Sports Center right now because it's all these little like McDavid passes, and it's like, look, you're not that guy. He's good. He is an excellent passer. He is not that guy, and I don't get what he's going for on these plays. And so many times, and now because I got my Keller specific criticisms out of the way, I'm gonna pull back primarily the power play, but you also saw it a lot the couple of times the Coyotes were starting a pressure. Is they pass the puck wide open. There's a wide open lane, either Keller, Dursey, think one, you have Michelli or Krause, I forget which. Perfect opportunity to shoot, and they just go right back to the pass. I'm like, dude, the lane is right there. You have the perfect lane. You have your perfect little window of time. Shoot the puck. Just get it on the net. Get it towards the net. What are you doing?
But because of that, not a single shot on goal during their double minor power play. Like,
I was streaming both of these games in the first period. I was mad. Hudson Fasching, he gets a high sticking against Nick Bukestad. Yeah, former Roadrunner captain, high sticking, and you get 4 minutes. And for at least the first 2.5, 3 minutes, the Coyotes did nothing. They had one very small rush where it looked like they were kind of getting something set up. It looked okay, but they didn't get a shot off or a shot actually on the net. And the amount of times, like, I, as just a loser on the couch watching this game, I'm like, oh, hey, that's a really good setup. Keller just passed to Valimaki. All right, shoot it. Oh, okay, you're passing the puck again. Okay, now it's with Cooley. Okay, it's a really cool, like, lane right here. Clayton Keller is right here. I think it was a Cooley to Keller play. Pass over to Keller. Oh, that's a great opportunity for a one-timer. Good play. Shovel pass over, turnover. What are we doing?
It's definitely beyond me. But we're gonna continue our thoughts about this game, and then take a look at, ask the question, what can the Coyotes do better as they get ready to face the St. Louis Blues? That's coming on Thursday. But we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, a word from our sponsors on today's show. And today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. If you want to win 100 times your money and play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app, there are all possible scenarios for this season, but you have a chance to win big. All you need to do is play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. It's the official daily fantasy app of Lockdown NHL Network. Sleeper is our top choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey. With Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. You can choose from which players you'd like to win this week to win 100 times money. You can pick from different even sports too. You can go to the NFL, you go to the MLB, the NBA, college football if you want. But back here in hockey though, you can choose, let's say like Logan Cooley, pick on his stats more or less. Let's say his assists, his goals. And once again, Coyotes fans, 100 times payout on Sleeper. So you can start paying attention and get your picks right so you can win big. Use the promo code LOCKEDON NHL and you win, and you get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleepers terms of use for details. All right, Matthew, let's continue. Let's finish. Let's get any final thoughts you have on the Islanders game, and then let's go to what can they do better to try to beat St. Louis on Thursday.
Speaking of sleeper, I fell asleep in the second period on the recliner to be woken up with that power play goal to go back to sleep until the third period.
That sounds about right. I mean, I
was so tired.
Not gonna lie, that was me at the second half of the third period, and then like I heard the horn. I'm like, did someone score? And then game's over.
Oh no, game's just over. Game is just done. Anyway, so what was your question? I remembered that when I saw the sleeper logo. So I'm like, well, speaking of sleeper,
any final thoughts? Any final thoughts on New York, or do you want to just move on to what can they do better against St. Louis?
Shoot the gosh darn puck, because I, as a fat nobody watching these games to cover them, would have shot that puck 18 times tonight. Thank you.
I mean, that checks out. I'm 100% with you on that. Like
that's like my main complaint over these last two games. Like the little things defensively are going to happen. All right, odd man rushes are going to happen. Not capitalizing on a power play is going to happen. The 5-on-3 kind of inexcusable. The double minor kind of inexcusable, but it happens. But like 90% of the complaint is just shoot the damn puck. with the lane open. I'm not talking about force a shot. I'm talking about I saw so many open lanes and they were like allergic to the shot. I don't know what that's about.
And again, it was all about trying to be too cute. That's the thing. So yeah, shoot the puck, one, but also two is don't get too cute.
It's okay to take 1 or 2 seconds to look around. Hey, is Nick Schmaltz looking at me? Does he know I'm going to send the puck his way? Does Logan Cooley over here at the point fighting for his life know I'm just shooting the puck over at him and it's not going to go back to the defensive zone?
Right. But it is beyond me. I think St. Louis, though, like, not to say they're going to be easier, but it's going to be a different kind of play style of a team than the New York teams. I think that's for sure. St. Louis is a team that's probably going to finish about the middle of the pack, like the lower middle of the pack, probably, of the Central Division. So maybe the competition is a little bit better. Maybe it's, who knows? Maybe they learn from their mistakes against the New York teams and they play well against St. Louis.
It looks like the Blues, unless I am wrong, they are 1-0-1. They only have 1 goal a game. Coyotes, you want your bounce back game? You want to be 500 in front of the mullet before you go above 500 beating Anaheim? Go to St. Louis, a team that I do not have in the playoffs, and kick their tuchuses.
I'm looking at it. Both of their games, both of their games went to a shootout. Mm-hmm. It was a 2-1 win, a 2-1 loss to the Stars, a Stars team that is one of the Stanley Cup favorites, and a 2-1 win in the shootout over the Kraken, who have, let's say, they've looked pretty awful so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the hockey guy mentioned that it looks like their expansion year. Like they just can't score right now. And it's early, so like it isn't a trend yet, but fix that pretty soon, Seattle.
Yeah. So if it's only in, if you look at it, if these games are only going to shootout, and it kind of tells you the kind of team the St. Louis Blues are. So Coyotes, take advantage of it. That's all I got to say. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, it shows you what they are to start this season right now. Now, obviously, that could start turning around against the Coyotes. It could not. So the only advice is go in there and kick some booty. I want 40 shots. Can I get like once the Coyotes get 40 shots on that? Like one time, like they had 6 in the first two-thirds of the game. 6. They got 8 in the third period.
Let's go back to that New Jersey game, and it was like 30-something shots, right? I mean, that was close enough.
Here's my final thoughts before Robyn even asks me. All right. The Islanders, who are known for years of playing a boring brand of hockey, it's a playoff brand of hockey. It's a fundamentally sound brand of hockey, but it is boring. Outshot them by 20, 34-14. Don't let that happen again. And don't let that happen against the gosh darn Islanders who play boring hockey. Sound, but boring hockey.
Why it is a good opportunity for the Coyotes against the St. Louis Blues, though? Okay, I have 2 words for you, Matthew. Clayton Keller.
So the Missouri kid?
Because
he always plays really well in St. Louis.
Yeah, he does. He does. I forget. I know, like, it says St. Louis, but he's like some like suburb outside of St. Louis or whatever it is.
It's pretty much like if I was born in Glendale, it's a suburb technically of Phoenix. I was born in Phoenix, but like if I was.
Fair enough. Yeah, but anyways, we're out of time on today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you've yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Also, don't forget that you can catch every Arizona Coyotes game on the SiriusXM radio app. You can just go ahead and download that app and just search Coyotes, and you'll be able to once again listen to every goal of the Coyotes season right from your phone or inside your car. Once again, it's on Sirius XM Radio. Just be sure to check it out. Don't forget to interact with us on social media, though. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter, now called X, at LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robyn_Leonio. Matthew Jacobson is at the AZ Sports Guy. Also, if you want to check us out on Blue Sky, if you guys are on Blue Sky, I'm at Robyn Nice Time. Matthew Jacobson once again at AZ Sports Guy.
Don't forget the Z on X. I don't think I have the Z on Blue Sky because I am him.
I forgot the Z on Twitter, and I
want that guy's @ I wanted it for years. When I noticed he had it, he wasn't even active. So I was like, Elon, delete his account so I can have his @
But I give him I give the other guy a pass because he went to my alma mater.
No.
Not only just my university, but he went to the same Jase school. He was a journalism school alumni. So there we go. But anyways,
forks up.
Anyways, though,
16-0.
Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy, and don't forget to howl on.